Your teams.
Hell! It is Barner! It is Barner! And he's gone!
The Beavers are the national champions!
Brandon, a three-pointer out front. Hit it! Yes, he did!
His take.
Here's what I think.
Matt Bagley. Matt Bagley.
This is going to sound way out of left field, but I think if there's any comparison to Lamar Jackson, it's Joe Montana. Think about it. The Niners drafted him. They got him in the third round because the way quarterbacks were evaluated then was totally different. Scouts either pigeonholed you as you had a cannon for an arm, you can make every throw, you're Joe Namath. And if you couldn't do that, scouts would say, okay, can you scramble? Can you be Fran Tarkenton? And if you didn't remind them of Namath or you didn't remind them of Tarkenton, you weren't going to grade very highly.
Talking local sports.
So Joe Montana, he slides all the way to the third round and then completely shatters that paradigm. Montana ushered in a revolution, and with Lamar, we're seeing the same thing.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
Let's have some fun tonight. Southern Oregon Sports Talk presented by Medford BMW. My name is Matt Bagley. Thank you for listening. I have new listeners. I have new callers and texters and voicemail people, and I love it. If you want to join in on the conversation, tell me what you think about Wild Card Weekend. Tell me what you think about the divisional round coming up. Tell me what you think about the most mind-boggling hiring decision in professional sports today. And tell me what you think about the Ducks, the Beavs, the Blazers, and more. Text 541-630-4792 or leave me a voicemail. 541-630-4792. I set that up for you, the voicemail. I had a ton of voicemail messages on Friday, and I think about one in particular. I like to think I know about sports. I like to think that I understand various viewpoints that people can have about sports. I'm opinionated, but I respect others' opinions. And yet, on Friday, I got a voicemail from somebody who said, Matt, the Titans are going to win. And they even went one step further, and they told me, Matt, I think the Titans are going to win because Mike Vrabel knows Bill Belichick. And I couldn't play it. It was a voicemail message. I didn't have it wired on this board. I didn't have a way to get that to you in the studio. So, A, I'm sorry I blew that guy off. B, I'm sorry I didn't listen to that guy. And C, the next time they give us a voicemail, we can play it here on the show. As long as it's clean, radio friendly and all that. 541-630-4792. I want your feedback on a wild weekend in the world of sports. Also, Duck fans, Joey Mack is going to join me at 4:30. And then what I want to do in my final segment of Hour 1 is give away a pair of Ducks tickets. I have 2 tickets to Thursday night's Pac-12 home opener at Matthew Knight Arena in Eugene. That's a big game, top 25 game. Oregon's a top 10 team. You know that. Arizona, they're 25 in the polls, and they are good, according to Joey. He joins me at 4:30. We're going to break that game down, and I want to send 2 of you to that game. I have a pair of tickets to give away for you and a buddy to go see the Ducks on Thursday night. I'm going to give those away before the end of this hour. Stay tuned. Leading off the show with NFL, I told you about that caller who left a voicemail and about how they were right and I was wrong. I just couldn't picture the Titans getting it done. I kept getting hung up on the idea of Ryan Tannehill, but if Saturday taught us anything, it's that I was wrong and kind of right about Tennessee. Think about this. They didn't need Ryan Tannehill. I didn't understand that, but now I see it. Derrick Henry, game for the ages, averaging over 4 yards a pop, almost 5. Derrick Henry getting 75 yards, all 75 yards on that 2-minute drill in the first half. If you want to break that game down into 2 drives, it really comes down to a awesome goal line stop by Tennessee. Patriots first and goal from the 1. They couldn't punch it in. They settle for a field goal, and then Derrick Henry goes 75 yards the other way. That's the football game. The Titans got it done. I didn't see that coming, but I was also kind of right about this team. And I want to lead off with Tennessee because I think there's a lot of people out there today, not you, you're smart, not me. I'm not that smart, but I think I am. I think there's a lot of casual fans that are morons that will say Tennessee beat the Patriots, that will say Derrick Henry beat the Patriots, and they will say Ryan Tannehill beat the Patriots. They will turn this into a narrative about Tannehill and how he is having a Jim Plunkett-style comeback season and how he's clutch in the playoffs. He's now unbeaten in the playoffs. They'll say Ryan Tannehill was always better than Marcus Mariota. And I'd offer this. After Saturday night, I think we have evidence that Mariota would have been better for the Titans. They could have blown out New England with Marcus Mariota. Consider this. Ryan Tannehill only wins that game because Derrick Henry plays out of his mind, because the Titans' defense delivers time after time in the clutch, and the best Ryan Tannehill could do, even with all that help, 72 yards passing. 72 yards passing. Drew Brees can get that in a drive. Kirk Cousins can get that on a play. And those aren't the 2 best quarterbacks in football. Not even close. Ryan Tannehill can't get 72 yards in a game? Marcus Mariota could do better than that. I think the only difference between Tannehill and Mariota, I said this a month ago, it's obvious now. The only difference between the Titans under Marcus Mariota and the Titans under Tannehill is that the Titans needed Mariota to save them. They needed Mariota to drive the car, to fix the car, to put the tires in, to wash the car, to get the paint job. They needed everything from Marcus. Tannehill, he's just along for the ride. Sit in the passenger seat and watch Derrick Henry drive this thing. It's a totally different team because there are totally different expectations put on the man under center. So while the casual fan will say the Titans win this game, Tannehill is now better than Brady, Tannehill is obviously better than Mariota ever was, Tannehill's the guy, I don't buy it. Do you? 541-630-4792. Text me your take or leave me a voicemail. And my one rule, is that if you have something good to say, I will share it on the air. If you have something good to say, text or voicemail, I will share it on the air. 541-630-4792. No crank calls, no cuss words, no stupid takes. Keep it good. You'll get on the radio. NFL. I cannot hit this hard enough. I have Joey Mack coming up in 20 minutes, talking Ducks. Ryan Buchanan in just over an hour. In the meantime, New Orleans got robbed again. Again. Think about this. Drew Brees' legacy now, because of the Minneapolis Miracle, something completely out of his control, because of the worst officiating blunder I have seen in my lifetime watching NFL games since I was in diapers, and because of a horrendous decision at the end of that Saints-Vikings game yesterday, Drew Brees' legacy is locked in. He is a great quarterback with a lousy playoff resume. He's Dan Marino. Dan Marino, you remember, cannon for an arm, made every throw on the planet, changed how we viewed quarterbacks. Just like Brees is really short, Brees gave Russell Wilson a shot, Brees gave Baker Mayfield a shot, Marino He was a statue, couldn't move. There's a reason he fell to the end of the first round. Cannon for an arm, but he had no legs. And scouts were like, not really sold. The Raiders didn't want him. The Steelers didn't want him, his hometown team. Terry Bradshaw was pounding the table. You got to draft this Marino kid. They ignored him. They get somebody else, and Marino goes to the Dolphins, and he puts up great numbers, just like Breeze. But for 15 years, Marino has no defense. Gets to a Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. No defense. Niners drill him. And he never gets back. No defense. Breeze gets to a Super Bowl, gets lucky, wins that Super Bowl, and then for the rest of his career, great player, had some good offenses, had some good teams, but his defense always failed him in the clutch. Minneapolis Miracle, that's not on Breeze. Penalty last year, no call, that's not on Breeze. And an obvious situation where I'm not saying that Kyle Rudolph should be flagged. I think there was contact on both sides. I think that both Rudolph and his defender were in a shoving match at the end of that game. But you can't honestly tell me if you have the legal right, and these officials do, they have it in the rule books. The Saints made sure this is legal now. When you have the opportunity to review whether or not a play is pass interference, you cannot honestly tell me that you don't need to review that play. You need to watch that play. You need to view that play in slow-mo, instant replay, and get to the bottom of whether or not there was pass interference. They didn't do that. They screwed the Saints, and they broke Breeze's legacy. 2 Super Bowls, and he's in the Hall of Fame easy, and he's probably the greatest quarterback of his generation. Now, he's Dan Marino. He's an outlier, and he might not get into the Hall of Fame because of it. 541-630-4792, talking football. Next, I want to dive into what I think is the most divisive game of the weekend. You either loved this or you hated this, and it really boiled down to one play. Did the Seahawks win dirty? That's the theme. That's the question for you. Share me your input, 541-630-4792, text or voicemail. Did Seattle win dirty, and did it change their trajectory? Is that play going to define a Super Bowl run? Let me know. 541-630-4792. I've got thoughts on the other side. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
Well, you know it's Orly Stove and Spas we both recommend. Now I told you where, let us tell you why. You ought to stop and see our friend.
Happy New Year from Orly Stoves and Spas. Hey, it's Lamont here to let you know that this is your final opportunity to save big on the last remaining 2019 Blaze King Princess Ultras. Regularly priced at $36.95, now just $3,099. That's a savings of $596. The Blaze King Princess Ultra is the only thermostatically controlled, longest burning, and most efficient wood stove in the industry. The huge 2.85 cubic foot firebox allows it to burn up to 30 hours on just one load. This makes the Blaze King Princess Ultra the ultimate wood stove for a wide variety of home sizes. Hurry into Orly's and save on the last remaining 2019 Blaze King Princess Ultras before we sell out. Considering a spa or swim spa? Remember, Orly's is your local Cal Spa dealer for America's #1 rated spas and swim spas. Visit Orly's Stoves and Spas at the corner of Delta Waters and Crater Lake Highway, or check us out online at orleys.com.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
There's only one Jim Rome.
When it comes to the NFL, nobody knows anything. And if you want more proof, check out the Falcons. What in the world is with that crew? They start the year 1-1. They lose 6 straight. They beat New Orleans and Carolina. Then they lose 2 straight. Then they beat Carolina again. And they go across the country and not only hang with the 49ers, but they close them out in the last second. If you're looking for a lock, it's that, but nothing else.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon on 96.1 580 The Game.
Imagine if I told you that an earthquake was going to hit tomorrow right where you live. That it would be 6.5 in magnitude with aftershocks occurring twice 25 minutes apart. You'd no doubt talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you an earthquake will happen tomorrow. But what if it does? Shouldn't you have a plan? Visit Oregon.gov/OMD/OEM and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by the Oregon Office of Emergency Management, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
If you've got a thought on Wild Card Weekend, or you want to talk divisional round, or you want to talk playoff, or Tua, or Ducks, or Beavs, or Blazers, or anything in the world of sports, let me know. Feed me a text at 541-630-4792 or send me a voicemail, 541-630-4792. A Niner fan chimes in, a loyal listener here. He says, first off, I think that the Rudolph play, the touchdown that got the Vikings the win on Sunday morning, was something that couldn't be overturned. He also thought they might have actually reviewed that play. See, I think it was something that you could overturn because you can review whether or not a play is pass interference. I think that it might have been looked at by the league, and honestly, it probably was, but it wasn't officially looked at by the league. They never said, hey, the previous play is under review. They did what they always do for touchdowns, which is just look and see, is this a touchdown? All touchdowns are briefly reviewed just to check if a receiver catches it or check if a running back runs the ball past the goal line. That's always under review for like a second, and then New York, chimes in and says, hey, that's a touchdown. My beef with that play is that the NFL has the opportunity to review, is that pass interference? And whether or not that is, that's up for debate. But I see Kyle Rudolph push off. I see the corner he pushes off flex back and not flop. Like, he's trying to fight for the ball. It's not in his interest to flop. He's really shoved back by Kyle Rudolph, and the league doesn't review pass interference. I don't understand it. You put the rule in place for that one thing, and you don't use the rule that one time. Doesn't make sense to me. Second part of the text I want to get to. If you got thoughts on this, text me or voicemail me, 541-630-4792. The person says, Seattle absolutely won dirty. Clowney should have absolutely been flagged and probably ejected for targeting. He hit Wentz 2 inches above the turf and ruined that game for the Eagles. Now, there's a lot to dissect there. That guy is a Niner fan. I know, because he's texted the show before. My boss is a Niner fan. He feels the same way. Clowney is dirty. That's a bad hit. I'm not so sure. I mean, is that a bad hit? Yeah. I'm not denying that's a bad hit. I'm not denying that you're not supposed to hit a quarterback in the back of the helmet when he's diving for a first down. Totally get that part. My question out there is, do you know if Clowney intended to hit the helmet? Like, we see him lead with his helmet. That's bad. But when you lead with your helmet, you obviously, just think about it, folks. You lead with your helmet, your eyes can't see where the head's going to land. Do we know Clowney wanted to hit the helmet? And second, I've hit this point for months now, dating back to the ejection of Vontaze Burfict, and when that all went down, and dating back to some of the ticky-tack roughing the passer penalties that we've seen this year, and pass interference plays that we've seen this year, defenseless receiver plays that we've seen this year, all the flags that have been thrown, all the laundry out there, I have consistently said I think the NFL has a problem. And it's not that players are playing dirty. It's that we can't take those hits out of the game. Think about it this way. If you have been trained your entire life to do one thing, and then when you get into your career, let's use a real example here. You are trained to write checks in cursive. You grow up, you're taught you're going to use cursive when you write checks at the bank. And you've been doing it for 20 years. Every time you need to write a check, every time you need to write a deposit slip, every time you go to the bank, you're ready in cursive. Imagine if tomorrow the bank puts up a sign and says, cursive is really hard to read. We won't let anybody write in cursive anymore. You've got to write in emojis now. You got to use shorthand like a journalist now. No cursive. All of a sudden, you don't know what to do. You've been asked to do this thing one way your whole life. And now someone else says you can't do that anymore. I feel like the NFL has done that to players. Jadeveon Clowney was prided and celebrated and praised all of his life for being a ruthless hitter. For being big, fast, and deadly. That's why he's a good football player. That's why he's a great defender. And then in 2019 and now 2020, Wild Card Weekend, Jadeveon Clowney gets into a playoff game, and yes, his helmet hits Carson Wentz's helmet. We don't know if that's intentional. I'm not willing to say that Jadeveon Clowney is a bad player. I think he's a player. I think that what he did was bad. But I don't know how you take that out of the game. Anyway, I get the argument. Texture responds back in. They don't necessarily know what Clowney's intentions were, but leading with the helmet is bad. And I agree with that. Leading with the helmet, that's a no-no. Now I will say this, that coaches today are teaching players not to do that. I don't know if they were doing that when Jadeveon Clowney was young, and I don't know how you take that out of professional athletes. Anyway, a lot to get to tonight on the show. If you got thoughts, text me, 541-630. I'm glad that they answered the question about Clowney and the Seahawks, because I think it really is potato. It's one of those things where the result is dirty. I don't know if the intentions were dirty. The result is bad, and maybe you throw a flag on the field, but that's it. I really can't go any further. I wouldn't eject him. I wouldn't suspend him. And the only tough part for me is I think you can make the case with Wentz in that game, if that play doesn't happen, the Eagles win that game. And potentially now, because the Seahawks won that game in Philadelphia, I think they have an easier matchup this week. And if they win, they will certainly, without a doubt, have a rematch against an opponent that they've at least beaten once this year. They beat Minnesota. They beat San Francisco. That play, dirty or clean, good or bad, could completely swing the NFL playoffs. And that's where I'm really concerned, because let's say the Seahawks win this week and then they match up with San Francisco. They split the Niners earlier this year. Let's say they beat the Niners and they are in the Super Bowl. All anybody is going to talk about for 2 weeks is a dirty play. All anybody's going to talk about is Jadeveon Clowney led with his head, hit Carson Wentz in the back of the helmet, and they shouldn't be this far. They shouldn't even be in this game. Dirty play. And then the NFL is going to crack down on everything and just go way too far to the other extreme. That's what I'm afraid of. How about you? 541-630-4792. If you got thoughts, share them with me. Text me, 541-630-4792. Leave me a voicemail, 541-630-4792. I'm giving away Ducks tickets at the end of the hour, and I am speaking with a sideline reporter for Duck football broadcasts, Joey Mack. He also does play-by-play for men's hoops. I'm going to break down their stand against the Arizona schools this weekend. Also want to recap Duck football, because I think Joey just had his best day of the whole year on the first day of the year, New Year's Day. He goes down to Pasadena on a red eye. He covers the Rose Bowl, and the Ducks win it. How did that feel? What was that like? And does that change his perception of Duck football heading into 2020? Joey Mack, he gets to answer those questions next when he joins me on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game. It's that time of year again. Snow is filling the mountains. Holiday cheer is in the air, and car batteries are more prone to dying. That means it's the time of the year to take advantage of the winter specials going on at Interstate Batteries, offering free battery tests and free installations. If your car is having trouble getting started in the morning, it might be time to get that free battery test at Interstate Batteries, located in Central Point on North Pacific Highway next to Quality Tire. Don't go unprepared this winter. The last thing anyone wants is to be stranded in the cold. Interstate Batteries also offers Jumpstart cables and the most trusted brand in batteries since 1952, so you can have peace of mind while traveling this holiday season. See why homes and businesses have trusted Interstate Batteries for all their battery and accessory needs for over 67 years. You can learn more at interstatebatteries.com or jumpstart your winter preparation by getting your free battery test at Interstate Batteries in Central Point on North Pacific Highway next to Quality Tire. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
In the NFL, you can lie to me, you can lie to yourself, you can lie to your staff, you can lie about everything except two things: head coach and quarterback. Don't get them right, aren't honest, you're done. Chicago announced a couple days ago, we're sticking with Trubisky. Oh, it's cute, but you're not being honest with yourself.
Colin Cowherd.
Weekdays at noon on 96.1 580 The Game.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, Matt Bagley here with you, Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. Now, I've hit the NFL real hard tonight, breaking down the wild card games and looking ahead to the divisional round next weekend. But I want to take a break from that and switch gears to something a little different. Every Monday, I bring on Joey Mack, Ducks sideline reporter, Duck Insider host, does a little bit of everything for the Oregon radio broadcasts. And I want to talk Ducks with Joey right now. He's on the phone line, and let's start with that football team. They win the Rose Bowl. You were there for it, Joey. I don't think I've talked to you since that game. What was that experience like for you? How'd that feel?
You know, it was pretty darn cool, Matt. I mean, you know, I said it on Duck Insider today. I'm just so happy for this senior class because I think that this senior class went through more adversity than most senior classes face around the country. And I think that they also just didn't deserve it. They were a good group of guys who had to go through 3 different head coaches, a bunch of different coordinators, particularly on the defensive side. And, you know, it was just so cool to see those guys celebrating on the field at the Rose Bowl. And, you know, Shane Lemieux said post-game that, you know, they went through some rough times, this senior class, but he felt like they left the program in a better place than when they found it and when they got there. And I would agree with that. And I thought that it was pretty emotional, and it was cool for me to be down there amongst the celebration because I got a chance to talk with Coach Cristobal for our broadcast right after Penei Sewell picked him up when he was talking to Maria Taylor.
I loved what Mario said to you. I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, just that he was so proud. And what was awesome for me is that emotional moment where I ask him how proud he is, and then his wife, Jessica, comes up and gives him a hug, and his two boys are there as well. And then he gets back to answering the question after an emotional hug, and his entire offensive line just lines up to give him a hug. And it was just so amazing to see all of that. And then when he ended it with just, the Go Ducks forever, I was like, man, this is pretty darn cool. Like, this senior class deserved that, and I think that Coach Cristobal deserves a lot of credit for helping that senior class realize their dreams.
Yeah, go Ducks forever. That's the quote that rings in my brain because I was listening to the radio, Joey. I was getting some work done on my computer, and I had 880 AM tuned so I could hear Jerry and Jorgie do their thing. And, of course, Jerry Allen. He's amazing. He's fun. But when Mario shouts, "Go Ducks forever" to you, I thought, this is the most excited and the happiest I've ever heard Coach Cristobal. Did you feel that way about it?
It's certainly up there. I mean, there's been some good ones. Like, I think when he told Bruce Feldman, I'm a Duck after the Red Box Bowl win, I thought that was pretty special too. And, after the Pac-12 championship, he was a pretty happy camper as well. So I think it's certainly up there. But I guess maybe what is the most exciting part is that this Duck team isn't done yet. I mean, this iteration of the Ducks is coming to a close. But, again, I think that the program is in a much better place than it was when this senior class first arrived. And I think the Duck fans should be excited about the future. And I think that's part of why Coach Cristobal is so excited, because he's excited about the future.
Talking with Joey Mack. Now, that sets me up for the next question, Joey. Thinking future. You lose Justin Herbert. You lose a guy who I think could be a first-round pick at wideout, Jawan Johnson, when that's all said and done come April. And you lose the captain of your defense, Troy Dye. But the Ducks keep a lot of guys. Penei Sewell might be the best returning player in college football next year. How good do you think this team can be?
Well, I think that they're in a good spot, especially with the recruiting classes coming in. I do think that graduating the majority of your offensive line and pretty much everybody except Heisman contender Penei Sewell, it's going to be interesting to see what the offensive line looks like. Now, there's a lot of guys that have been in this program for a number of years that haven't played a ton but are very talented. And the reason they haven't played a ton is because they've got that great offensive line that's now graduating in front of them. So I think the O-line is going to be okay. I mean, that's what Coach Mirabal and Coach Cristobal pride themselves on. But defensively, I am curious to see what happens in a few spots. And the other thing, Matt, is we still don't know which guys are going to move on to the NFL. Does a guy like Thomas Graham, Yamador Lenore, Jordan Scott, some of those other juniors that were such impact players for the Ducks, do they get a draft grade that says that they should go pro? I mean, I wouldn't fault them for doing that. You got to cash in while you can. And I do think the defense is going to be really, really good, though. I mean, losing Troy Dye hurts, but then you bring in the top two inside linebackers in the country as freshmen. You've got some guys behind Troy Dye that have learned a lot from Troy Dye. I do think that the defense is still going to be really good. And, Justin Herbert said that in the press conference after the Rose Bowl. He said, hey, this team is in good hands. Like, you're going to have a new quarterback. You're going to have some new guys in skill position. You're going to have almost a completely new offensive line. But Justin Herbert goes, the defense is going to be really good. They're going to have another really strong defense. And isn't that an offense's best friend? A quarterback's best friend is a really good defense.
How long do you think the Ducks have Andy Avalos?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's a good problem to have that everybody is going to want to hire your assistants, because if nobody wants to hire your assistant coaches to be head coaches or get promotions somewhere else, then you're probably not winning a whole lot of games. And the Ducks are in a position where they are going to have a lot of assistant coaches that are going to get interest from other programs around the country, like what happened with Marcus Arroyo. He becomes the head coach at UNLV. And, that is what you kind of want, right? Like, I think that maintaining the staff is really important, and that's something that Coach Cristobal is definitely prioritizing. But at the same time, if head coaches aren't calling to hire away your assistants and other schools aren't calling to hire away your assistants, well, then something isn't going right, because it's kind of that unhealthy but sometimes healthy yet difficult mix of you want to have desirable coaches, but you also want to make sure that you can keep them. And that's kind of the catch-22 with the whole thing. I think when you're having success, you're always going to have teams that are going to want to hire away your coaches.
Joey Mack, my guests. Joey does so much for the Oregon radio broadcasts. Host of Duck Insider right here on The Game. Sideline reporter for football. He'll be back in that helm next fall. And play-by-play for men's hoops. Let's take things into that direction, Joey. You know this team better than anybody. You speak with head coach Dana Altman every week. They go one for two on that first Pac-12 road trip. Why'd that happen?
Well, Colorado played exceptionally well, and there's no secret that the Ducks haven't played well in Boulder of the last, well, actually, in the entire program history of the Ducks. They've never won in Boulder. So it's just something with that building. I don't know what it is, but, you know, credit to Colorado, too. I didn't think that Oregon played a great game. They still closed it within 4 late in that game. But I think that Dana Altman would tell you that, hey, the Ducks still got within 4, and they weren't playing all that well. And that says something about where this Oregon program is. And, you know, they had some breaks not go their way against Utah, and they still were able to weather the storm and win that game against the Utes. And I really like the Utah team, Matt. I'll tell you what. They started all sophomores and freshmen, but I really like that team. I think that Utah team is going to be really, really good for the next couple years. I think Timmy Allen's the real deal. I really like their freshman point guard, Rylan Jones. You know, and it's kind of similar with the way that Colorado is built. They've got a junior in McKinley Wright, another veteran in Tyler Bay, and those guys are kind of carrying the load for Colorado right now, and I feel like Utah is going to end up having a similar makeup. So I give a lot of credit to Colorado. I thought they played really well. They hit some shots, played good defense, and really they hurt Oregon in a couple places where the Ducks, I think that they improved, I'll say that, in certain areas against Utah. And some of that was Shakur Juiston just getting his feet back wet against Colorado. He had missed the last 5 games. The Ducks didn't have a fully healthy C.J. Walker in that game against Colorado, and I do think that made a difference. So there's a lot of things that led to that split. But I'll tell you what, in the Pac-12, I think every road game this year is going to be a fight. And I also think that if the Ducks get out of January with just that one loss to Colorado, I think you're going to feel pretty darn good if you're a Duck fan.
Still a lot of time till Thursday, but right now, Joey, do you think they sweep the Arizona schools?
Well, they're certainly capable of doing that. You know, I think that Arizona's really good. I mean, they've got 2 of the highest touted recruits in the country that are on their team now as freshmen. And Nico Mannion, I think, is the real deal. And everybody seems to forget about the grad transfers that Arizona has. And they've got some veterans in the right places. You know, I think about the fact that Max Hazard, who was the leading scorer on a UC Irvine team that Oregon beat in the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament last year in San Jose, well, that guy is like the 8th guy in Arizona's lineup right now as a grad transfer. So I think that should tell you something about the depth of that Arizona team, and I think that they are pretty good. That's going to be a fight Thursday at 6 o'clock. But then I also do think that Oregon at home, they're actually certainly capable of winning that game, and I think they're probably on paper going to be the favorites heading into both of those 2 games. Arizona State's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. They always have been under Bobby Hurley, so right. Kind of depends on which Arizona State team shows up. But the Ducks have had a lot of success against ASU and Eugene.
And wrapping up, Oregon ladies destroy Colorado the other night. How do you feel about them, Joey?
Well, they're just, I mean, they're the best. You know, it's pretty amazing that you've got number 2 Oregon and number 3 Oregon State in women's basketball right now. Like, I hope that fans are appreciating what we're seeing with these 2 programs right now, that it is truly elite basketball that is being played in the state of Oregon. It's really pretty remarkable. So they're legit. And, you know, Ruthie Hebert getting to 2,000 career rebounds. Sabrina Ionescu got to 900 career assists, a couple milestones. And there's going to be a few more milestones that get written or knocked down, however you want to say that, in the next few weeks with Oregon women's basketball. So, yeah, they're legit, Matt. I mean, they are a legitimate Final Four team. They very well could win the national championship. But, boy, I'll tell you, Pac-12 ain't easy. They got to play Stanford and Oregon State. That's tough, man. That's tough. you're going to know a lot about this Oregon women's basketball team partway through Pac-12 play.
Hey, I'm right with you, Joey, and I love that you gave Oregon State some love. I'm an Oregon Tech grad, small school guy myself, so I have a fond spot in my heart for Scott Rueck, former George Fox guy, and everything that he's built at Oregon State. I just think it's amazing. And, that's a heck of a gauntlet. You got to go up against maybe the most respected coach in the Pac-12 down at Stanford, and then you got to take care of the Beavers in a top 5 matchup. That's not easy.
Well, and Stanford's probably a top 5 matchup, too, depending on what time of the year it is. So, yeah, it isn't easy. And I think that it's going to be interesting talking with Coach Graves about this coming up on our Tip-Off Tuesday shows and everything else that Terry does, talking with Coach Graves, because, I mean, it's not even close. Oregon State is the toughest trip in any conference in the country right now, probably in both men's and women's basketball. I mean, you've got 2 top 3 teams that you got to play back-to-back in conference games if you're traveling up to Eugene and Corvallis, or those 2 teams are travel partners, which means that I don't know if that helps the Ducks, hurts the Ducks. Maybe it doesn't really do anything for the Ducks, but the fact that Oregon and Oregon State are travel partners, and with how good they are right now, boy, that's some elite basketball. And that's a tough challenge for anybody either coming to Oregon on their road trip or for the Ducks and Beavers going on the road. Boy, that's a tough ask for their opposition.
Joey Mack breaking down men's and women's hoops, also talking some Duck football with us. Interesting conversation about Mario Cristobal. If you missed it, check out the podcast a little bit later tonight by visiting 96.1/580 The Game on your podcast apps. Joey, really appreciate your time, my friend. I want to do this again next Monday, and I just want to say for the people who don't know, because you do a great job of hiding it, you're not feeling that great. You're under the weather, and I just got to say, you're a trooper, man.
Well, thanks, buddy. Yeah, it was definitely a long weekend. I flew out of LAX to Denver after the Rose Bowl. Got to Boulder at about 4 a.m. and then got up and did the basketball game the next day. So I'll tell you what, I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, even though the Ducks lost that game in Boulder, there was no way that I was missing that mountain road trip, even for the Rose Bowl. So I was glad that I got to do both. Now I just got to go, what do they say, eat a little chicken noodle soup and maybe get myself a hot toddy, something like that. We'll find out.
Oh, Earl Grey tea and some honey. That's my go-to.
I'll take it. I am a tea, lemon, honey guy myself. It helps the broadcaster pipe as it is. But, no, I appreciate you saying that, Matt. Thanks. We'll do it again next week.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley, talking local sports, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m.
My finger slipped there at the end of that interview with Joey Mack, Ducks play-by-play, sideline reporter, all that jazz. Joey is always fun to have on the show, and we're going to have him again next Monday. I got to get to one thing before I move into the final segment of the hour. I really appreciate everybody texting me. Keep it up, 541-630-4792. Or if you'd rather send me a voicemail, do that too, 541-630-4792. I really want to give away Ducks basketball tickets, and I'm going to do it this way. If you want to go to Thursday night's Pac-12 home opener, I got a pair of tickets for you. What I want from you is your favorite Ducks basketball memory. Your favorite Ducks basketball memory. Text it to me, 541-630-4792, or leave me a message, 541-630-4792, and I will give those tickets away today. 2 tickets to a hot, highly entertaining Pac-12 opener, Ducks and Arizona, Thursday night in Eugene. Those can be yours. Just text me, 541-630-4792. Tell me your favorite Ducks hoops memory. And next segment, I'll make some memories. We'll talk NFL, talk picks, what I got wrong, what I got right, and how I think the biggest upset of the weekend changes the playoff picture. Plus, big news out of college football. Is Tua Tagovailoa going to be the number 1 overall pick this year? I've got thoughts. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580, The Game.
Hey, Josh here from A Affordable Royal Flush. Your septic system is like your roof or the paint on your house. At some point in time, it will need to be repaired or even replaced. Regular professional septic system maintenance can extend the life of your septic system as well as catch any small issues before they require big, costly repairs. Give us a call to let us set up an appointment to pump and assess your unique septic system needs to be sure you're in good shape. We carry up to 180 feet of hose on our truck, so getting to just about any tank, it's not a problem. At A Affordable Royal Flush, we're the professionals you can trust for your septic system maintenance, repair, and installation. Call 541-772-3389 in Medford or 541-479-6935 in Grants Pass for a free phone estimate. Be sure to visit our Facebook for more information about septic systems. Our family's been serving the Rogue Valley since 1995 with the right service at the right price. Have a septic system? Think A Affordable Royal Flush. A Royal Flush beats a full house anytime.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
I really want to give away Ducks basketball tickets. I get a stack of tickets every winter. Pac-12 basketball at the best arena on the West Coast. And some years it's easy to give those tickets away. Some nights people just jump on them. Some nights they don't. I really want to get rid of these Ducks basketball tickets. Great experience Thursday night in Eugene as the Ducks tip off Pac-12 play against Arizona. I'm asking you for your favorite Ducks hoops memory. Text me, 541-630-4792, or leave me a message. One person says their favorite memory of Oregon basketball has got to be Luke Jackson. There's a name. Luke Jackson dropping 40 in the NIT. I'm a small school guy. I was just joking with Joey Mack about that earlier. Oregon Tech and Luke Jackson. I can't think of that name without thinking about all the great things he did, albeit for, what was it, flash in a pan, 2 years at Northwest Christian. For 2 years, he built the best NAIA program in the country at Northwest Christian. Small school basketball, Luke Jackson, aspiring coach. You're going to hear that name again someday. Wrapping up hour one. Text me if you've got a Ducks memory, and I'll pick the best one and give you those tickets at the end of this segment. 541-630-4792. I want to talk Tua, and I also want to get to early outlook on the divisional round, because the first reaction we had to the weekend was, wow, Vikings upset for the ages, Titans end a dynasty. But the second reaction we should have is, okay, now what? How does this impact the divisional round? I want to talk about that. My early take is that out of all of the teams that should be sweating bullets or celebrating, The Niners, out of everybody, now have the easiest road to the Super Bowl. The argument against the Niners went like this. You got to play the Saints a second time, and you had to drop 40-plus and get heroics from George Kittle to beat them. You weren't doing that again. You weren't beating that team a second time. Or you had to beat Seattle a third time, or match up with them a third time, beat them a second time against a veteran coach, against the best scrambler, creative, just crazy madman that is Russell Wilson. I don't like your chances doing that. Your best path to the Super Bowl is a pathetic Green Bay team, the worst 13-3 team I've ever seen in my life. I still can't believe they racked up that many wins. They did it against inferior competition. They played the Lions twice. They played the Bears twice. They beat up on my Raiders. They beat up on some bad football teams. The Niners can beat them again. Or you go up against a Viking team that, did Kirk Cousins just play out of his mind? Yes. But he did it without a lot of pressure. The Saints had a good secondary. No pressure. They had to blitz a lot. They had to pressure in other ways that Kirk Cousins was able to slice and dice. I don't think he can do that against the Niners. I think they rush for. I think they pressure him. That's an easy game to predict. Niners over the Vikings by a lot. And then the road is pretty clear. You get a chance at a Packer team in the championship game that you already blew out. Niners to the Super Bowl. I think that's pretty obvious right now. 541-630-4792. Duck memories. If you've got one, text it to me, and you might win Ducks basketball tickets to Thursday night when the green and yellow play Arizona. Pac-12 home opener. Wrap up hour one. I want to talk about Tua Tagovailoa real quick. Last week, I said that if I were him, I would stay in school, and I stand by that. I think that medical evaluations are going to be key. I think that we still don't know where he's going to land in the draft. I get all of that. But today, Tua Tagovailoa has declared, and I think he did so because he's betting on himself. He understands one thing. He was the clutchest college football player ever. Seriously, the clutchest college football player ever. Think about it. He was a true freshman, a backup. His starter gets pulled at halftime in a national championship game, the national championship game, and Tua leads a comeback, goes into overtime, walks off overtime of the national championship with a frozen rope on 4 verts, and then tears up the record books the next 2 years of college football. He is the clutchest player I've ever seen. And I think that is why Tua Tagovailoa is taking his chances. He's betting on himself going to the NFL. Will that bet pay? Tune in to find out. Next hour, right here, Southern Oregon Sports Talk.
Team up with the 4th annual Run with Grace, Saturday, January 25th, 10 a.m. at a new location, the Rogue Valley Country Club. Last year, over 800 participants ran, jogged, or walked to show their support for the Run with Grace. All proceeds go to sending local youth to camps, activities, or enrichments.
Hi, this is Susan Holt. Run with Grace 5K is a memorial run honoring the life of my daughter, Grace Holt. Grace truly had more joy and happiness in her 15 years than many have in a lifetime. She was kind beyond measure, had true empathy for others, and wanted everyone to be happy. To bring happiness to others is what this day is all about.
Register for the 4th annual Run with Grace and learn more about the Grace and Kindness Scholarship Program. Go to runwithgrace.org. That's runwithgrace.org. Thank you to our hosting sponsor, Rogue Valley Country Club, title sponsor, the West Family Foundation, platinum sponsor, D.A. Davidson. Also, thank you to the Lemonade Project, Patsy Volk at Remax, Eagle Point Eye Care, Orange Theory Fitness, and the rest of their amazing sponsors. Hope to see you there.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals, but I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Texans game was an absolute slugfest. Vrabel was not happy with those refs. Chased them off the field. This is 2 times now in 2 weeks where coaches have chased the refs off the field. It's not normal. So not only do you, Eric, hate the refs, not only do we hate the refs, not only is the NFL saying, yeah, we're going to have a top-down review of these refs as soon as the season ends, coaches who are fined for being demonstrative with everybody's fed up with the refs.
The Pat McAfee Show.
Mornings at 7 on The Game.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
In the NFL, you can lie to me, you can lie to yourself, you can lie to your staff, you can lie about everything except 2 things: head coach and quarterback. Don't get them right, aren't honest, you're done. Chicago announced a couple days ago, we're sticking with Trubisky. Oh, it's cute, but you're not being honest with yourself.
Colin Cowherd.
Weekdays at noon on 96.1 580 The Game. Playoffs.
Snap, spin, fake, handoff, dropping back 5, winding up, long pass down the middle. He's got Metcalf.
Sunday, we're your radio home for the NFL playoffs. Doubleheader coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. on The Game.
Watson doesn't see it. He's hit. He's spun around. He somehow stays on his feet. Dumps it off to Taiwan Jones. Jones inside the 40.
First, the Texans visit the Chiefs. Then the Seahawks battle the Packers on The Game.
Stay up late with Amy Lawrence.
We already knew that the Los Angeles Rams weren't going to control their own path, and that's partly because of the division they play in, but it's also because of how bad they've played. At times, I've wanted to issue an APB, an all-points bulletin, for the Rams offense because it's been non-existent. You do not want to finish up the regular season on an embarrassing stretch for the offense.
11 at night, overnight, on 96.1 580 The Game. This is your home for the Seahawks.
Russell, half roll left, looks into the end zone. Touchdown! Seahawks! Paul Richardson!
KTMT 580 AM and K241CA 96.1 FM Ashland.
Sports Flag.
I'm Jay Berman. This report is sponsored by the NFL. NFL Network is your home for the most playoff coverage anywhere, all the way through Super Bowl 54. NFL Network, one network all postseason long. And we'll start right there in the NFL. Mike McCarthy, he's the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He's the 9th head coach in the history of the franchise. His contract with the Cowboys will be for 5 years. Also, according to a source, he's got his defensive coordinator. It's Saints linebackers coach Mike Nolan, who will be the new DC for Dallas. Speaking of the Saints, linebacker Kiko Alonso tore the ACL in his right knee yesterday. That during the Saints' playoff loss to the Vikings. Obviously, that'll cost him much of the offseason. And Wade Phillips will not return next season as defensive coordinator of the L.A. Rams. From the college game, Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, a projected top 10 pick, who, of course, missed the Crimson Tide's final 3 games while recovering from hip surgery. He's going to skip his senior season and enter the NFL draft. Meanwhile, Bama leading receiver Devontae Smith will return for the 2020 season. Fellow wideout Henry Ruggs III is declared for the NFL draft. College football on the scoreboard tonight. We do have a bowl game. It's the Lending Tree Bowl featuring Louisiana and Miami of Ohio. They played 1 quarter and they are scoreless. NBA tonight, Pacers and Hornets in the second quarter. Hornets up a bucket, 44-42. Second quarter, Wizards lead the Celtics 44-35. I'm Jay Berman.
We like you. You like us. So why not friend us on Facebook? The meetup happens at facebook.com/CBS Sports Radio.
This is Southern Oregon's home for Farrell on the Bench with Scott Farrell. 96.1 FM, 580 AM, The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Talking NFL, NBA, Ducks, Beavs, Blazers, and more right here. Southern Oregon Sports Talk. If you want to jump in, text me, 541-630-4792, or leave me a voicemail, 541-630-4792. Talking, you know what? I got a full hour, and I got 30 minutes till Ryan Buchanan jumps in. A bunch of notes have not been checked off in my prep. So here's what we could talk about right now. We could talk about Tua Tagovailoa betting on himself. I wrapped up hour one with that. We could talk about LSU Clemson. We got a week till the national title game. Could get into the NBA. What's wrong with the Blazers? But I want to save that for Ryan. Honestly, if I had to pick one thing to talk about right now, something I haven't touched on yet today, it's got to be what I think is the weirdest coaching move in a long time in the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys actually got it right. At least, I think if you just rate this higher on whether or not Mike McCarthy is worthy of this job, they got it right. Because I think Mike McCarthy is way better than what I expected. Way better than what I expected. I said for weeks the problem Dallas was going to have looking for the next coach was, is the next guy going to be okay with Jerry's press conferences? Is the next guy going to be okay with Jerry and his son picking who you draft? Is the next guy going to be okay with Jerry Jones walking into the locker room post-game and interrupting your speeches, or sitting in on your coach's game plan meetings on Tuesday? No other NFL team does what Jerry Jones does with the Cowboys. I didn't think Mike McCarthy would put up with that, but he's the next coach. He's the guy. That's a win for the Cowboys. They just got a great coach to buy in to their really warped way of doing things. And I will say this about Mike McCarthy. Was he boring in Green Bay? Yes. Did fans accuse him of being conservative and uncreative and holding Rodgers back? Yes. But that wasn't till the decline. That took about a decade to reach that point. Up until then, Mike McCarthy's resume was outstanding. He was a guy that made Alex Smith a promising quarterback in San Francisco. Really set Alex Smith up for the remainder of his career as a stalwart veteran in the NFL. That was Mike McCarthy. 1 year as a Niners OC. Then he goes to Green Bay, and he tutors Brett Favre. And Brett Favre commends McCarthy and credits him with expanding and extending his career as long as he got. And then Mike McCarthy puts an unknown Aaron Rodgers under center, a guy that some Packer fans wanted to trade, some Packer fans wanted to cut. I remember, I'm old enough now to remember internet rumors that the Packers wanted to trade Aaron Rodgers for Randy Moss. And Packer fans were up in arms, like, why isn't this trade already made? We have Brett Favre. Give Brett Favre Randy Moss in his prime. Excuse me. And Mike McCarthy turns that guy into the best quarterback in football. So the resume for Mike McCarthy, yes, is the NFC title game against Seattle always going to be a scar on his history? Yeah. Are all of the conservative play calls, the 4th and short punts, all that going to sting and stain how we view Mike McCarthy? Yes. But that's at the end. The lead up is Mike McCarthy showing time and time again and winning a Super Bowl ring because of it, that he can make the most out of your quarterback. And that's the gamble Dallas is making. Can Mike McCarthy get the most out of Dak Prescott? You can say right now, Dak's going to get his $40 million. He's going to get whatever he asks for. You don't hire Mike McCarthy unless you believe McCarthy can get the most out of Dak. Text me. Tell me what you think about that move. 541-630-4792. I also want to talk NFL divisional round, but first, just revisit the craziness of the wild card. You have a Buffalo team that chokes down the stretch. I didn't see that coming. And I got to give credit where credit's due. Deshaun Watson made the best play of the weekend. Guy blitzes, he doesn't see it, spins out of it at the last moment, and chucks it to an old Raider, a guy I used to love. I still am amazed that he hasn't torn the league by storm, Taiwan Jones. And he flies down the field, and Watson pumps his fist afterwards, and the Texans win it. That is clutch. And I will say this about Houston. I bet on all these games, and I'm going to bet on the Niners, and I'm going to bet on the Seahawks, and I'm going to bet on Baltimore. I love Lamar. I believe in Lamar. But I'm not touching that Houston-KC game because Deshaun Watson can rip money out of your wallet. That guy, I don't care if the Chiefs have a better defense. I think they do. I don't care if the Chiefs have better coaching. I think they do. I don't care if the Chiefs have a better offense, better weapons, better quarterback. Watson, that guy can just win it. He just has that knack. Did it in college against Alabama in a national title game. Primetime pressure. Didn't matter. Tore up college football for 4 years, and he's tearing up the NFL with plays like that. You just can't rule him out. Any week, Deshaun Watson can win any game. I'm not touching that game, and that's one of them. Also want to talk about New England, Tennessee. I hit on this earlier. Everyone's going to be quick to praise Ryan Tannehill and say, oh, boy, weren't the Titans smart to bench Mariota? Tannehill had 72 yards and a pick. He's not why the Titans won that game. The Titans won that game because they locked into the best versions of themselves. They locked into giving Derrick Henry the rock, which they were never doing. They were always inconsistent using him the last couple years. And it blows me away how teams could do this. Like DK Metcalf in Seattle is a great example. Big, fast, strong, and yet when push comes to shove in the draft process, these guys slip. Tua is a great example of this. Like, let's say Tua's medical stuff gets cleared. There are teams that will still say, well, we don't like lefties. Or teams that will say, well, he's a little short, a little skinny. Like, what? Do you watch tape? Do you focus on anything? How do you get your job, right? DK Metcalf slides to the second round. It's like, how did you scouts miss on this? This guy is bigger than everybody else. He's faster than everybody else. Derrick Henry is the all-time best example of this. 6'3", 250 pounds. He runs like a truck. He's fast. He's tough. He's impossible to tackle. The Patriots proved that on Saturday. And he slides to the second round. Who scouts these players? Who picks these guys? It happens every year. I wonder who the next one's going to be. And the other games. Now, I said San Francisco is going to win this weekend. I feel really good about that. I feel like the Vikings are going to run into a bad matchup. They beat up on a Saints team, and just before I trash on Minnesota, I got to give them credit. They beat up on a Saints team that was 8-point favorites, that had home field, that had won 13 games in the regular season, and had beaten some common opponents of the Vikings. They beat Seattle. Seattle handled the Vikings. Didn't matter. I think the Vikings just showed you that when they bring out their best, they can go all the way. And I will say this, while I think San Francisco beats the Vikings on Saturday, that game is going to come down to one player. The Vikings, first and foremost, if they get Dalvin Cook going, they have a shot. If Dalvin gets you yards on first down and you set up 2nd and 5 for Kirk Cousins instead of 2nd and 9 or 10, and Dalvin gets you going on 2nd down and you've got 3rd and 3 instead of 3rd and 8, the Vikings can win that football game. The single biggest difference Sunday was that the Saints couldn't stop Dalvin Cook, and it fed everything Minnesota wanted to do. Play action, bootlegs, screens, quick throws, and it set up plays for Cousins to where he could have deep throws, because remember, the Vikings don't have an offensive line, really. The Packers lit it to pieces. The Seahawks eviscerated that offensive line. They don't have a great protection for Kirk Cousins. But it didn't matter because Dalvin Cook got going, and it threw the Saints defense off, and it won Minnesota that football game. I don't think they get the same support on Saturday. I think the Niners shut them down. But if they don't, you already know why. Giving you the post-mortem, pre-mortem, telling you why the Vikings might pull off an upset. 541-630-4792. Got a question on the text line. Let's get to this. Question on the text line, 541-630-4792. Is Jerry going to give Mike McCarthy the reins? Now, that's the other way to approach this. Maybe this Mike McCarthy hire is Jerry finally embracing sanity. I don't know. But I think there's an argument to be made. He's done this before. He gave Bill Parcells everything. He said, Bill, fix this mess, and then set us up for the future, and then you can retire. And that's what Parcells did. Drafted Tony Romo, developed Romo, built the future for the Cowboys, and then Jerry did Jerry stuff. Hire a defensive coordinator who had no reason to be a head coach, then replace him with an OC who had no reason to be a head coach so that you could really run the shop. I don't know if he's doing that again with McCarthy. He's done it twice in his career. Jimmy Johnson, Mike McCarthy. Or Jimmy Johnson, Bill Parcells. I don't think he does it a third time. I think he's locked into his way. And I think his way is toxic for the Cowboys. But McCarthy signed off on it. The question for you, does all the outside stuff, Jerry's press conferences, the locker room speeches, the showing up to meetings, the having a direct line of communication with all players at all times, do you think that has more of an impact than McCarthy's game management, than McCarthy's game plan, and McCarthy's ability to get the most out of Dak Prescott? Totally up in the air. Open debate. Let me know. 541-630-4792. Text or voicemail. You can reach the show either way. If you have a good thought, it gets on the air. Talk to me, and I'll tell you what I think about college football. Talking Tua Tagovailoa and his big leap to the pros. Talking Ducks offensive coordinators. There's a name that came out today. I want to talk about that. And diving into the Blazers before I bring on Blazers Edge contributor Ryan Buchanan. There's a trade that everyone talks about and thinks about and prays for, but would it really help Portland? I don't know. I'll share my thoughts. I'll tell you where I'm going with it next on 96.1, 580, The Game. This is Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW.
Team up with the 4th annual Run with Grace, Saturday, January 25th, 10 a.m. at a new location, the Rogue Valley Country Club. Last year, over 800 participants ran, jogged, or walked to show their support for the Run with Grace. All proceeds go to sending local youth to camps, activities, or enrichments.
Hi, this is Susan Holt. Run with Grace 5K is a memorial run honoring the life of my daughter, Grace Holt. Grace truly had more joy and happiness in her 15 years than many have in a lifetime. She was kind beyond measure, had true empathy for others, and wanted everyone to be happy. To bring happiness to others is what this day is all about.
Register for the 4th annual Run with Grace and learn more about the Grace and Kindness Scholarship Program. Go to runwithgrace.org. That's runwithgrace.org. Thank you to our hosting sponsor, Rogue Valley Country Club, title sponsor, the West Family Foundation, platinum sponsor, D.A. Davidson. Also, thank you to the Lemonade Project, Patsy Volk at Remax, Eagle Point Eye Care, Orange Theory Fitness, and the rest of their amazing sponsors. Hope to see you there.
Hi, with Dusty from Dusty's Transmissions. Dusty, how many years you been in business in the same location, Central Point?
Since 1979. Been quite a while.
Probably seen a whole lot of changes in transmissions in that amount of time.
Oh, I can remember when the first solenoid came out, and back in the late 70s, we thought the world had come to an end. But they've come so far. We work now on hybrids. We work on CVTs. We work on them all, foreign and domestic. And I don't care what you go to, we're still going to have to transmit power, which is the reason the Dusties were staying up on it, because we could someday go to electric motors on each wheel. Who knows which way it's going to go? But I can guarantee you that as these change happens, Dusties is going to be on top of it.
Even the Jetsons car you'll be working on.
Well, we may not be that far away.
Okay, so how do I find you?
Well, we're on Highway 99 in Central Point. We've got a whole block there between Laurel and Maple Street. We're on the right-hand side, big blue building, hard to miss us. Got a little Dusty with his thumbs up, about 10 feet tall on the side of the building.
Drive home with Zach Gelb.
The Titans, I think that's a team as well that fits the identity of their coach. Logan Ryan playing 4 positions pretty much. Defense, it's scrappy. They are a feisty bunch. And then offensively, it's just a physical football team.
Zach Gelb, weeknights at 6 on 96.1 580, The Game.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
The Ducks are looking for a new offensive coordinator, and a name came out today that I want to share with you. But first, got to get to some of these texts. 541-630-4792. If you want to jump in on the conversation, feel free. 541-630-4792. Or if you'd rather leave me a voicemail, you can try that too. Joe says he hates to say it, but Marcus Mariota will go to New England. Brady plays one more year. Marcus is the understudy, and the Patriots get better. And first off, I just want to say I've called it. I have said it. I have spoken it into existence. I think that's what's going to happen. I said that about 2 months ago, and I feel even stronger about it today. Remember, the Titans just won a playoff game with their starting quarterback throwing 72 yards. Marcus Mariota, that was, without making a completion, Marcus Mariota just had a great pad to his resume that Ryan Tannehill could win a playoff game throwing for 72 passing yards. Because it proved Marcus Mariota wasn't the problem in Tennessee. The Titans couldn't get out of their own way. That was the problem in Tennessee. I think that Bill Belichick is smart enough to see that. And my single biggest fear for the offseason is that when the Titans cut Marcus and they wave goodbye, that New England brings him in with open arms. And just like our texter just said here, the Patriots don't have to play him right away. They can sit him for a year. That's the scary part. Because the real crux of the Tom Brady, will he stay, will he go dance that every other show on the planet is talking about today is Brady going to find a alternative to New England that suits him? I'll answer those questions in a minute. On the Patriots side, the question is, do they have a succession plan in place? Do they have a backup for when Brady goes to the Chargers? No, they don't. They had a guy. They traded him to the Colts. They had another guy. They traded him to the Niners. They don't have a guy. They don't have a succession plan. So the Patriots are going to be desperate to give Tom Brady whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. I know Bill Belichick won't want that. I know Bill doesn't want to give a 40-something rundown quarterback a whole bunch of money, but you don't have an option. Brady is getting that money from New England. What Belichick is then going to do is set up the succession plan. And that means take a flyer on a quarterback like Marcus, first-round talent, all the potential in the world, you just got to tap into it. I think he's smart enough to get it done. I am terrified of the Patriots getting Marcus Mariota. Same person, by the way, that just brought up the Marcus to the Titans connection, Marcus to the Patriots connection, rather. He says Herbert will go ahead of Tua. Tua's got too many injuries already. And, you know, I think that's a fair question. I said this last week. Tua has great film. I think he's the clutchest college football player I've ever seen. Come back in the national title game as a backup, as a true freshman, with a walk-off winner in overtime against an SEC defense loaded with NFL talent. I will never see another performance like that the rest of my life. The clutchest player I've ever seen in college football. And his stats are incredible, and his character is off the charts. But when it comes down to it, in March, when the Dolphins doctors X-ray Tua's hip, what are they going to find? When the Bengals doctors X-ray his hip, what are they going to find? When the Colts doctors X-ray his hip, Bucs doctors, Raiders doctors, anybody, when the medical evaluations start, and that's not till March, teams wait until the last minute to do all those. They wait until the last minute to get that done because they got the Senior Bowl and the Combine, and then they start inviting players into the facility and working on the medical stuff. When all that stuff clears and we get to draft day, I would not be shocked if Tua Tagovailoa is a second-round pick. I would not be shocked if the medicals cost Tua a first-round selection. I want your thoughts. 541-630-4792. Back to what I was saying about Brady. It takes two to tango, right? It makes sense for the Patriots to keep Tom Brady and set up a succession plan. Either draft a guy this year or pick up somebody with potential like a Marcus Mariota that you can bench for a year, mold for a year, and then throw into the fire. Makes a lot of sense for them. For Brady, I know that the Chargers are a favorite, and all the sports books reflect that right now. Everybody thinks that Tom Brady is going to be a Charger. I don't see it. Potentially, would he want to leave and go to the West Coast, be closer to family? I could buy that. But that's only one aspect of the decision. Brady is not going to leave the Patriots unless he respects your coach. And he's not going to leave the Patriots unless he respects your GM and your owner and your locker room. You got to have a good culture. You got to have a good coach. You got to have a good, solid GM that he trusts to make decisions and an owner who wants to win. And right now, I think the Patriots have that outmatched. They've got that beat on everybody in the NFL. Great coach, it's Bill Belichick. He's won 6 Super Bowls, been to 9 of them. That's just with the Patriots. Great GM? Nick Caserio doesn't get enough credit. I know he whiffs on wide receivers every year, but think about all the guys they grab on defense. They don't draft in the top 10. They don't get the blue chip guys like a Jadeveon Clowney or a Khalil Mack or a Jalen Ramsey that are at the top of the draft every year. They can't get those guys. It's not like the Niners where their defense goes from worst to first because they snag a Bosa brother. Those guys don't fall to pick 25 or 28 or 32. You got to make a judgment on a player, and Nick Caserio does that better than anybody in the NFL. Great GM, and I know it's low-hanging fruit. It's easy to pick on Bob Kraft, and I'll just say this. Easy to pick on Bob Kraft after what he was accused of doing and caught on tape doing last year. That's all I'm going to say because this is a family-friendly show. Bob Kraft is a great owner to work for. He talks to Brady. He talks to Brady's family. He talks to Bill's family. He talks to his players' families. He builds a family environment and a team culture, the Patriot way. I'm not a Patriot fan, but I can't deny great owner, great GM, great coach, great culture. I don't think Brady leaves that. For the Chargers, has he ever worked with Anthony Lynn? A guy that can't get out of his own way, never built a great team? I don't buy it. Who's their GM? It's not anybody with the acclaim of Nick Caserio. Their owner is a cheapskate. We all know that. The Spanos family wanted nothing to do with San Diego. It's all the Chargers had ever known. And they said, get lost. Because San Diego wouldn't give them money for a stadium. It's ridiculous. And the Chargers have no culture. It's Phillip Rivers screaming at a bunch of young guys, linemen that can't protect him, receivers that can't catch, running backs that get suspended. Tom Brady's going to leave the Patriots for that? He's going to leave a team that has taken him to 9 Super Bowls for that? I don't see it. If Tom Brady leaves, and I'm biased, you're going to roll your eyes? Vegas makes a lot more sense than the Chargers. A coach that he respects. John Gruden has been in the league as long as Brady's been in the league. They've done Monday Night Football where Gruden has interviewed Brady, talked to Brady. Gruden respects Brady. I know Brady feels the same way. The Raiders have a GM that every player in the league respects. NFL Network is on every team facility. 24/7, 365. You know Brady has seen Mayock on TV. You know Brady saw Mayock's draft with Hunter Renfrow, a stud. Josh Jacobs should have been Rookie of the Year. Max Crosby, flyer in the 4th round that put up insane numbers from the edge. I think Brady respects that. And Mark Davis, not the greatest owner, but Mark Davis gets out of the way. It's kind of like how Rob Kraft lets Bill Belichick and Nick Caserio run the Patriots. Mark Davis, he only gets involved if you ask for him, if you need him. Your family needs something, you got to pay for a funeral, or you want to help out a charity, you want to do a fundraiser, Mark Davis is there. But otherwise, Mark Davis is hands off. Need help finding a house in Las Vegas? Mark Davis has you covered. Need help with mediating an issue with your coach? Mark Davis is off limits. The coach is going to have authority there, just like New England. I think Brady can respect that. Skill players, Raiders got them. Offensive line, Raiders got them. I think Brady wants that. I don't think Brady leaves New England. I think he stays, and like a texter suggested earlier, the Patriots build a succession plan. They keep Brady for a year, they pay him whatever he wants, and they sign a Marcus Mariota or someone else, like a Jameis Winston or a Marcus Mariota, and they mold that guy from the bench to make him the next guy. But if Brady leaves, Vegas makes a lot of sense to me. 541-630-4792. I am way late. Got to get to Ryan Buchanan from Blazers Edge. I'm going to call Ryan. We're going to talk hoops, Blazers, NBA, and more. If they trade for Kevin Love, is that a mistake? Do the Blazers get better if they trade for Kevin Love? Do they get worse? I think so. I wonder what Ryan thinks. I'll ask him next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1, 580, The Game.
The Cinderella story. The 40-foot snake on the final hole. The dagger. Just when you think sports can't get any more exciting, along comes Oregon Lottery Scoreboard. Now wager on pro sports right from your smartphone. Scoreboard's live betting option lets you in on the action during the game. Who'll hit the first shot, score the next touchdown, or lead at the half. Scoreboard with in-game wagering. Lottery games are based on chance and should be played for entertainment only, not investment purposes.
Do you have missing, hurting, or broken teeth? We are your solution to get the care you need comfortably. Whether you are putting off regular dental checkups and cleanings or extensive dental work you are needing that would improve your oral health and quality of life, don't sit back and suffer while your dental problems get worse. Premier Care Dental is kind, honest, and gentle, and we offer relaxing sedation dentistry to make getting the care you need comfortable and stress-free. Premier Care Dental works with most insurance companies, and if you don't have insurance, no problem. Premier Care Dental's in-house savings plan is designed to provide greater access to quality dental care at an affordable price. Premier Care Dental's locations are in Medford, Ashland, Grants Pass, and Klamath Falls. We accept same-day appointments, so call us today during normal office hours and get seen today. 541-200-6747. Visit PremierCareDental.com.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, tail-wagging, backyard-hanging, and, of course, companionship.
And what breed would you say Satchmo is?
I'd have to go with maybe a lavish terrier-hound, chihuahua-looking kind of mix.
Tremendous dog.
I'd also like to point out Satchmo's coloring, a white, gray, brown, black brindle, simply marvelous.
You know, it's such a treat to watch a dog like this.
Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive. And now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance, so common with this group.
And finally, the loving face lick.
It's great how he just gets in there and, well, licks.
Fantastic. But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Hey everybody, Matt Bagley here with you. Southern Oregon Sports Talk presented by Medford BMW. My text line is always open, 541-630-4792. Text me a take about the world of sports, or if you'd rather, leave me a voicemail, 541-630-4792. But I'll be honest, I probably won't get to any of that till I'm done with Ryan Buchanan. Ryan's on the phone line with me right now. He's a contributor at BlazersEdge.com, and he hosts Blazers Edge Radio up in the Portland area. Find out more about that. Check out BlazersEdge.com or xray.FM. Ryan, always want to lead with the Blazers when I have you on to talk basketball. There's a trade that's been ruminating, a lot of rumors going out there about whether or not Portland should pick up Kevin Love, and I don't like it personally. How do you feel about that idea?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same side of the fence there, Matt. It's a trade that it makes sense why people are bringing it up, and the fact that he's from the Portland area. Portland has the money in expiring contracts to be able to take on his massive contract. You're talking about guys like Hassan Whiteside and Kent Bazemore, so they have the pieces, I think, to get Kevin Love. But I think for them, it's, do you want Kevin Love? And I don't know if that's the best move for them to make. They've been really struggling Defensively, especially this season, that's never been his forte. But outside of that, he's due a lot of money over the next several years. He's 31 now. I just don't think that's the smartest move to make if your Portland is tying that much money into Kevin Love. I don't think that makes you all that much better. And so I would look in another direction if I was Blazers.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you do? Let's say you're Neil Olshey and you got the power to trade guys and make the moves. Who would you pick up instead?
I don't know that I do much of anything this year, to be honest. If the right opportunity presents itself, fine, as long as they're not giving up guys like Anthony Simons or that type of player. If you're able to get a guy that helps you long term, that's one thing. And we've talked about this on the show. But in terms of trying to sacrifice something in order to try to compete this year, I think the odds are so stacked against them right now anyways with all the injuries. You're not even close to competing right now, so I don't think there's anybody out there that turns the Blazers into an instant contender. So unless it's something that benefits them in the long term, the next 3 or 4 years, I don't think they should necessarily do anything this season.
Ryan Buchanan, my guest on the phone line. Ryan contributes to BlazersEdge.com, where he's a staff writer, and he's also a host of Blazers Edge Radio up in Portland. You mentioned Anthony Simons' name as somebody you wouldn't like to see the Blazers part from. Anybody else on a no-trade list?
I think obviously Damian Lillard is there, and quite frankly, that might be it right now. I think you could probably put Yusuf Nurkic on there. You could make the case for Zach Collins as well, and outside of that, I don't think CJ is going to command a whole lot of trade value with his big contract. His name has always come up in trade talks, but I don't think he's going anywhere. So, I think there's only a few guys, but, realistically, those are your top guys going forward. So in terms of the guys that you have available, I'm not sure that outside of that list, there's a whole lot that other teams would want, outside of the expiring contracts, your Kent Bazemores, your Hassan Whiteside, in order to take on more money in return. And at this point, I just don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they just end up keeping both those players just because it ends up the deal doesn't really present itself.
Right. And I think that's a solid argument to make, Ryan. I don't want to beat people's heads over with a 9 seed or 10 seed, talking too much Blazer basketball with you, but just from the feel of it, it sounds like you feel this season's just kind of a lost cause and reset for next year. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and a lot of it is due. In fact, it's not their fault at all. It's they've had a devastating string of injuries going back to last spring with Nurkic, and you had Collins, and you have Rodney Hood, and now who still knows what's going on with Skal Labissière. It's just one thing after another. It doesn't look good for this year. I don't think it's worth trying to make some wild move to try to salvage this season. I think there's too many good teams out west. That I don't think there. I think you just kind of wait it out at this point, hope that things turn around, but expect that they probably won't.
Ryan Buchanan on the phone line with me right now. He writes some great pieces for BlazersEdge.com, also contributes to Blazers Edge Radio. Visit xray.fm or BlazersEdge.com to hear those. Ryan, want to look at the bigger picture now. I've been hearing Laker fans talking a lot about whether or not to trade Kyle Kuzma. Do you have thoughts there?
Yeah, it's interesting because he was a guy, coming into this year still had a lot of hype. He's obviously taken a lesser role with a healthy LeBron James and then Anthony Davis coming forth. He's had his moments, including a big game against the Blazers. I'm not sure that I would give up on him. He's only 24 years old. But, I think that for the Lakers, they're looking to try and, at this point, probably add some veteran help to try and beef up because, let's be honest, right now, the Clippers are going through some struggles of their own. The Rockets are a flawed team. The Nuggets have had an up-and-down season. At this point, the Lakers certainly look to be the favorite out west, and they're looking, saying, if we've got a chance to win the championship this year by making a move, and that's, I think, why you're seeing a guy like Kuzma, who's had a down year but still has a lot of upside. There's a lot of teams that would like him and would be willing to part with some veterans to get him. So it could end up making LA better right now. But at that point, you'd be sacrificing maybe one of your key pieces going forward as well. So it's something to think about that. But I think, for the Lakers, that's the kind of team that right now is looking at making one of those major moves to try to get over the hump, to try to distance themselves from the other contenders in the West.
Right now, do you think they're the best team in basketball?
I think it's them or Milwaukee. I think both those teams have shown throughout the year that they are just head and shoulders above everybody else, at least in the regular season. I still think the Clippers are amongst the most talented teams. They still kind of get to figure everything out. They're still going to be dangerous, but from what we've seen, heading into the new year here, clearly it's the Lakers and the Bucks, and those have been the two top teams.
Giannis for MVP?
Yeah, I don't think that he's done even better than he did last season when he won the MVP. I know, James Harden's still doing James Harden things. He's still almost averaging 40 points a game. So he's going to be in that discussion. Luka Doncic he just continues to get better and better. He's the guy I think that is drawn a lot of hype. I think if anybody was going to really challenge Giannis this year, I think it would be Luka. I don't know if that guys that voters would so much want to see the same guy win it twice. So that on the court, certainly Giannis isn't doing anything that would lead you to believe that he wouldn't win it. But the NBA likes the diversity in those kind of awards, so I wouldn't be surprised if it went to somebody else. And that's when you're looking at, a guy like Luka, who's really had a signature year. And then obviously you have to put Harden's name in that discussion. Then a guy like LeBron James has had a big bounce back year as well. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But certainly based on the court, there's nothing against Giannis right now.
Yeah. I think LeBron wins MVP for hairline, and I don't know about the court, but we'll figure that out another day. Ryan Buchanan, my guest, he writes at Blazers Edge, also does Blazers Edge radio with those guys at xray.fm and online, blazersedge.com. Wrapping up with you, Ryan, I know you're a huge college basketball guy as well. Have you watched Pac-12 play so far?
Yeah, it's been a weird year for college basketball, hasn't it? I feel like there's really no team that you can feel terribly confident about. I have watched a little bit of Pac-12. The Ducks looked really good up until the Colorado game. Laid an egg there, and then the tough game against the Utes. So they were a team, Oregon got all the way up to 4. So who knows? But there's a lot of good, talented teams. It's good to see the Pac-12 with some good teams. Arizona's certainly there as well. They've got a big matchup coming up with Oregon, and then some younger teams on the rise, Washington, USC. Good to see the Pac-12 back. Obviously, they had a disappointing year in football that went up into the bowl season outside of the Big Ducks victory in the Rose Bowl. So nice to see the Pac-12 with a strong start to the basketball season. But, yeah, college basketball as a whole has been pretty weird this year where, March Madness is going to be totally up for grabs.
Yeah. I can't wait. March Madness. It's going to live up to the name. Ryan Buchanan watches the NBA as well, and writes about basketball at Blazers Edge. Do you have any pieces in the hopper that you can tell us about, Ryan?
Well, big thing right now, prepping for the show for tomorrow, Blazers Edge Radio. It's going to be at noon local time on xray.fm, as you mentioned, online for those in Southern Oregon. That's how they can check out that. We're going to be kind of talking about it, the state of the Blazers as it is, about 6 out of 7, where they go going forward, what we've seen out of some of the young contributors. And then also we're going to be looking with a Southern Oregon native, Dylan Sage, who's going to be joining us to break down some of the big other trade proposals, trade rumors that have been going on, circulating amongst the NBA right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. A Rogue Valley flavor to Blazers Edge Radio. I love that. Ryan Buchanan, he does that every Tuesday, right, Ryan?
That's right.
All right, Tuesdays on xray.fm for those of us who want to catch that online here in the Valley. Ryan, I love having you on again, and I want to do this again. Thank you very much, my friend.
All right, anytime, Matt.
Ryan Buchanan, Blazers Edge, and I'll wrap up the show with a Patriots question. The dynasty is dead. The evil empire is crushed. What's next? That's my thought for you, 541-630-4792, and I'll take a swing at it on the other side. Also got two Ducks thoughts for you. There is a player on this team who is not their quarterback who is going to be a first-round pick this year. You might not know who it is. I'll tell you. And there's an offensive coordinator that they talked to today. I should say offensive assistant. He's never been an OC at that level, but he might get the chance. Who are the Ducks looking at, and are they a fit? I've got thoughts. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580, The Game.
Everybody says their furniture store is the best. Obviously. I mean, nobody's going to say their store stinks. But at Garrison's Home, we don't have to say we're the best because you're saying it for us. We've been voted Southern Oregon's best of the best place to shop for furniture 7 straight years. We were named one of the top 100 companies to work for by Oregon Business Magazine, and we have over 600 Google reviews with an average of 4.8 stars. So yeah, Garrison's Home is awesome, but don't take our word for it. Garrisons.com. We got your back.
Take a great exploration vehicle, add available intelligent adaptive cruise control with stop and go, lane centering, and speed sign recognition. And available intelligent four-wheel drive with terrain management system and selectable drive modes. And some more highly advanced features for doing highly advanced stuff. Then you have the 2020 Ford Explorer, completely redesigned with more technology than ever. It's the greatest exploration vehicle of all time.
Driver assist features are supplemental and do not replace the driver's attention, judgment, and need to control the vehicle.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. And you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to, are you? Kids, work, listening to the radio. You're busy, which is great because busy people can't get prediabetes. Oh my, I read that wrong. They can. Should have worn my glasses. So visit doihaveprediabetes.org and take a short test because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Pharrell pulls no punches.
The NBA and NHL, there's too many games. I'm now convinced the 82-game schedule in both are a joke. They're a joke. And what they're for is so they can run their commercials until they're blue in the face so everybody makes money, right? That's what it's about. Selling tickets and selling stuff on TV for everyone that can't go to the game. We watch on TV so we can watch all your commercials. Take a look.
Weeknights at 7 on 96.1 580, The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580, The Game.
Wrapping up the show. 541-630-4792, Southern Oregon Sports Talk. You can text me, 541-630-4792, or leave me a voicemail and tell me what you think about sports. Talking wild card weekend, divisional round coming up next weekend. We're going to air all those games right here on The Game, just like we did yesterday, just like we did Saturday. I can't wait for that. And talking Ducks and Beavs and Blazers. Case in point, just had Ryan Buchanan from Blazers Edge, and he shared some thoughts on Portland and on the NBA. I want to wrap up with a question for all of us red-blooded Americans. I hate the New England Patriots. I don't like Bill Belichick. I think he's mean and cold. I don't like Tom Brady. I think he's a liar. Every time he's ever been asked about fumbling in the tuck rule, he grins from ear to ear and forgets about it. Every time he was asked about deflating footballs, he deflated and deflected the question and then blew up his cell phone so that the league couldn't figure out if he was texting guys to deflate the footballs. I don't like the Patriots. And so I have to admit, I relished when New England lost on Saturday. I lost a bunch of money on that game, and my prediction, dead wrong. Makes me look like an idiot here on the radio. But I was happy to see the death of the Patriots dynasty. My question for you, 541-630-4792, is what's next? New England has one of the oldest rosters in the NFL. Their average age is 29. That is past a lot of players' primes. Running backs, past their prime. Corners, safeties, linebackers, past their prime. 29. That's up there. New England has no answer for Brady's successor. They got to find that guy, and they probably got to sign a guy. So good luck mending Mitch Trubisky or Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota, because you're not going to be able to draft a Tua Tagovailoa unless they slip to you. You're not going to get a Joe Burrow. He's going number 1 to the Bengals. You're not getting a Justin Herbert. I don't think he falls past the Raiders at 19. The dynasty is dead, and they got to rebuild and start over. How do they do it? What do they do? I think there's a serious chance. Don't be surprised if in a month, because he doesn't operate like everybody else. He's not going to operate on the Patriots' time. He's going to operate on his time. Don't be surprised if Bill Belichick steps down. If now is the time, it's a great time. There's no answer at quarterback. The offensive line is a mess. The receiving core is abysmal. The defense is old, and a lot of those guys are going up for free agency. I think Bill Belichick strongly considers retiring from football. 541-630-4792. Text me your thoughts. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Less than 2 minutes with you. 2 quick thoughts on the Ducks. Earlier today, there was a name floated around. I saw this on Twitter, that the Ducks are interested in Rams offensive assistant Jedd Fisch. He's not a coordinator. He does not have a background as a college coordinator. Doesn't have the experience that other candidates would have brought. But I think Mario Cristobal likes the idea of Fisch. And the reason why is the Rams' identity. They run the ball. They run a lot of play action. And I think that's the number one thing Mario Cristobal is looking for. Are you experienced? That doesn't matter. What's your price tag? That doesn't matter. What's your track record? That doesn't really matter. But what do you come from? What's your identity as a play caller? That is really important to Mario Cristobal. He can work around the rest, but he wants to make sure the guy he has is a guy that'll run the ball and run play action. 30 seconds left, wrapping up the show. Don't be surprised when Juwan Johnson is a first-round draft pick. Ducks grad transfer of a wideout. He declares today. He sends a thank you message to Duck fans today. And I think this is a guy who I've spoken to before, first-round personality. He's 6'4" and fast, first-round measurables. First-round tape if you watch him win jump balls in clutch moments. The only thing Juwan Johnson doesn't have are first-round numbers. Doesn't have first-round numbers. Has some years where he's disappeared on the box score. I think Juwan Johnson is a classic example of a first-rounder who sneaks in at the last minute. Great Senior Bowl, great combine. He's going to interview with teams. They are going to fall in love with his personality. They're going to measure him 6'4" and fast, and they're going to say, we whiffed on DK Metcalf. We'll make amends. Juwan Johnson, first-rounder. Book it. Talk about it tomorrow.